Good morning, everyone. I'm here to review another film I saw at TIFF, another Oscar hopeful, Jason Reitman's latest film, Saturday Night. Now, I've been up and down with Jason Reitman films when he started with Thank You for Smoking, Juno, Up in the Air. I mean, he was my dog. He was one of my favorite working filmmakers. And when I heard that his latest film surrounding SNL was a return to form, so to speak, I was very excited. Well, I saw it and I enjoyed Saturday Night, actually more than I was expecting. Saturday Night is based off the intense hour and a half leading up to a group of untamed and completely unknown comedians taking television by storm by launching a little show called Saturday Night Live. So the film is almost in real time, and I initially was concerned because my knowledge of SNL isn't like vast. And I was worried that the film would be kind of designed for diehard fans. And though nearly anyone can technically watch this film and enjoy it, I do admit and say that those who do have that built-in knowledge, I know will get more out of the film than people who don't know anything about SNL. Because you are going to see actors play SNL cast members. So, if you don't know that Chevy Chase was known to be a talented prick, or you're unfamiliar with Andy Kaufman, you could still follow along, but you may be missing out on some of that experience. And I think the best place to start is to talk about the cast, because we have like a plethora of actors playing many SNL cast members, and there's a ton of great little performances. Corey Michael Smith plays Chevy Chase, and honestly, just captures Chase's comedic talents as well as his egotistical side. He's really great. Dylan O'Brien plays Dan Aykroyd to a T, embodying Aykroyd's oddball energy. I mean, my God, Matthew Rhys playing George Carlin. I think he was one of my favorites. He was just like on the money, perfect. Matt Wood, who I've never seen before, he plays John Belushi, a very moody, tortured artist. There's a really great scene in which there's like a battle of the egos between Chevy Chase's character and Milton Berle, played by the always great J.K. Simmons. And this kind of serves as kind of like the battle also between two generations. Willem Dafoe plays the head of the NBC, and he has this very intimidating presence that he brings throughout the film. Cooper Hoffman from Licorice Pizza, he plays a programming director for NBC. He's really great. Honestly, not a single actor took me out of this film. It's just a nonstop conveyor belt of actors who really seem to have put a lot of work into embodying their characters, even if it's just for these quick scenes. The film does mostly swirl around one character, Lorne Michaels, who would have been 31 when this movie took place. He's played by Gabriel LaBelle, who's only 21 in real life and still looks like he can be in high school. So despite the age difference, I thought LaBelle was actually quite a likable lead to follow, as someone who's a passionate creator, clearly way in and over his head, taking on more stress as the clock ticks closer to showtime. I mean, it's difficult not to keep just rattling off performances because there's more. And much of the movie is really kind of the entertainment value comes from watching these really funny exchanges between these characters. And there's quite a few exchanges and really like good golden one-liners in Saturday Night that are hilarious. As I mentioned before, this is like a conveyor belt of characters, and that's a little bit how the film feels. The film is stuffed to the brim with characters, and we only get to know them for a short time as the camera kind of whips by them because the film is always on the go. I actually wonder what an entire kind of mini series would look like a 5-episode miniseries telling this like 1.5 hour of time leading up to the first episode, but told from like every angle. So that way we can kind of learn and get to know these characters on a more personal level, because, I felt like we only did scratch the surface on these characters in this 90-minute frenzy. But even though we don't get to know really anyone, I still got swept up in the film's orchestrated chaos. Cinematographer Eric Steelberg shooting on 16mm. He incorporates some long takes, kind of whipping around the studio, accompanied with a jazz score filled with clangs and rattles. composed by Jon Batiste. These long takes with the score is where the film, I think, has been compared to Birdman, as it's very similar in style, but also very effective. I mean, at the end of the day, we know SNL is it's going to be successful. We know it. So while building the suspense almost seems meaningless, I still found myself gleefully in a state of anxiety watching this complete chaos kind of come together right before going live. There's a few moments in which the chaos feels a little bit put on pause. Like minutes before going live, Lorne Michaels has time to go next door to have a beer or engage in a few calmer conversations. It feels a little bit at odds with the state of panic that we're supposedly supposed to be experiencing. Personally, I think Reitman should have never kind of took his hand off the throttle. But all in all, Saturday Night, no doubt, is a love letter to SNL, as well as a love letter to the magic of showbiz. Those seeking the film to say anything kind of profound, I think, will be disappointed. It's just this kind of period of time when the counterculture in America was brewing and a new generation of artists were being born. It's a celebration of the creative process and having a vision, not being able to put your finger on what that even vision is, but kind of pushing through the chaos and the noise simply because you believe that there's something there. I feel like the film is a 7 for people who don't know about SNL, and it's probably like a 9 for people who do. I fit somewhere in the middle. I want to say a 7, but honestly, like, I could watch the film right now. Like, if you said you want to watch it, I'm like, yeah, I would love to watch it. So I'm going to give Saturday Night an 8. But let's go ahead and talk Oscars. So Saturday Night was a good time, but is it an Oscar player? That's difficult to say. The fact that it didn't even place at TIFF, I think it's concerning. You know, many people were expecting it to play somewhere. I think it's a film that actors may respond to, may relate to, kind of the showbiz aspect seen in Saturday Night. I think a SAG ensemble looks pretty promising for a nomination. Ultimately, I think it's on the cusp of a Best Picture nomination. While the industry might relate to it, it also might not feel very important. Personally, if there's only one slot left and I had to choose of picking Life of Chuck in that slot or Saturday Night, I think right now I'd put my money on Saturday Night, because I think it's a film that I think the industry will respond more than, you know, the audiences at TIFF. So Best Picture is on the table, I think. Unfortunately, there's just way too many brief performances for someone to be kind of like solely recognized. I think Best Score is on the table, perhaps editing. Longer shots would be screenplay and costume design. I'd guess that the most likely outcome would be like around 3 upward to 5. Picture, score, maybe editing. But yeah, that would be my best guess of its Oscar prospects. But those are my thoughts on Saturday Night. What do you think its Oscar chances are? I have even more reviews from TIFF coming your way, so feel free to hit the subscribe button down below. Follow me on Twitter or Instagram, links in the bio. Thanks always for watching, and until next time, I will see you at the Oscars.